I woke up at 5:30 this morning. I don't know why. I went to bed late last night. I was exhausted. It'd been a killer week at the office, so I thought, well, I'll sleep in. But I bounced out of bed, wide awake, just as the sun was coming up. It was so beautiful. And you know what's funny? My back didn't hurt. My nose wasn't all stopped up. My face didn't look like a stewed prune. And all the little worry lines were gone. So I grabbed my morning paper and I went down to this little cafe on the beach. Now, I usually don't eat a lot of breakfast, but I was starving, so I ordered an omelet. Well, I want to tell you, it was the best omelet I've ever had in my entire life. Seriously. It wasn't runny inside, and the cheese was melted just enough. And the sourdough toast was perfect with homemade apricot jam. It was the best. Just the best. So I finished, and I was sitting there reading, and this gorgeous man walks in, and he sits at the table next to me. He wants to borrow some of my paper, the sports section. He was from Paris, here on a business trip. He sounded just like Charles Aznavour. And he starts to flirt with me. Well, I flirted right back. It was all innocent enough, but it just made me feel so sexy, you know? I don't know, maybe it's the lighting in this place, but everybody looked great. I felt like I was in the middle of my own movie. And then he said goodbye, and he kissed my hand. I actually started giggling. Then I went for a walk on the beach. It was unbelievably beautiful. And when I drove over here, there was a parking space right in front with money still in the meter. Now, why can't every day be like this?
Could you stand to be this happy?
I'd sure like to give it a shot.
There's reality, too, you know. I mean, dirty laundry, relatives, difficult work.
I didn't go to work today.
You didn't?
I called in sick.
Living in time and feeling every moment. Do I walk into tomorrow and never look behind? In a perfect world, everyone's dreams would all come true. How will it all unfold? I wish I knew. As I try to learn the answer and I stumble along the way, I am powered by the love in my heart, by the thoughts in my mind, by the dreams I dream each day. What will the future hold? I wonder, what will the future hold? How will it all unfold? I wish I knew. I wish I knew.
Miss O'Neill, rumor is Roxman's considering changing his plea to guilty. Any comment?
Absolutely not.
Is it true that Roxman has refused the top environmental attorney to the business?
Streets First has threatened to build a human barricade around the incinerator plant unless the city dismantles it. Any comment on that?
I represent Mr. Roxman, not Streets First. Would you get out of the way, please?
Miss O'Neill, the district attorney has... Isn't here a deal is about to be discussed? We would like you to comment on that, please. Miss O'Neill,
It's your 15 minutes. Warhol was right.
Yeah, we even have it.
Now, there are lawyers all over town who give their left foot for a case like this.
Well, I'd like to keep my left foot, thank you, and use it to punt.
Vietnam veteran turned ecological crusader who turns down some of the best environmental attorneys in the state, pro bono, and insists on a public defender. Your face is going to be in every living room in the country.
Great. The entire nation can watch me lose my ass.
You know what they say, any publicity is good publicity. And by the way, if you need someone to help with spin control.
I'll have my people call your people.
Yeah.
Rosie, reporters are calling you every 10 minutes.
I'm not in.
Rosie, there were some distinguished visitors to see you in my office.
It's showtime.
Rosie O'Neill, this is District Attorney Bureau Chief Morton Anderson, and you and Deb know each other.
Sure.
Well, let's get right to business.
Okay.
Your client, Roxman. We're here to talk a deal.
I didn't know you were doing routine pleas these days, Mort.
This one's hardly routine. Your guy sabotages a toxic waste incinerator. I wouldn't call that.
Allegedly.
Right. Allegedly. Let's see, he's been arrested, what, 4 times before on similar charges and never convicted due to insufficient evidence? Well, this time, however, we have an eyewitness.
Aha, well, in that case, I should think you'd be chomping at the bit to go to trial.
Well, there's no doubt we can get a conviction. It's just that we'd like to avoid a lengthy and expensive proceeding.
Not to mention the publicity.
Damn reporters are running around like a bunch of starving dogs.
And you're afraid the jury just might sympathize with him.
Roxman's a terrorist, Ben, but he portrays himself like some kind of Robin Hood.
What's your offer?
Drop the felonious destruction to city property in return for a plea to misdemeanor burglary.
That's it?
That's it.
I'll take it to him.
Smart girl.
I beg your pardon?
Just a figure of speech, Miss O'Neill. Shall we? Always a pleasure, Ben.
Yeah, always.
Very nice to see
Nice
you
to
again.
see you, Deb, yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah?
Too good a deal.
Yeah.
You mean you didn't hold down for the TV and the VCR?
Mr. Roxman, the crime you've been charged with carries a possible 3-year sentence in prison.
With all due respect, Miss O'Neill, your deal stinks.
It's not my deal. It's the DA's deal, and I don't think you understand.
Oh, I understand perfectly. They're afraid of the publicity. You see, they don't want to give me a forum to tell about what really happens at that incinerator plant.
What happens at that plant is not the issue.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't. This case is about whether they can prove that you sabotaged it.
This case is about the right to defend ourselves against toxic warfare.
Mr. Roxman, if you're trying to tell me that you're guilty, I would suggest that we take the plea.
I'm trying to tell you that I'm not guilty by reason of necessity.
Necessity? I'm afraid that you're really stretching a legal concept, Mr. Roxman.
So let's stretch it.
Look, if you're insisting on pleading not guilty, I can come up with a better defense. Look, their case rests almost entirely on an eyewitness identification.
The guard.
Right. Now, I might be able to create enough reasonable doubt as to mistaken identity.
No, he knows me. He knows me from our demonstrations outside the gate. My hunch is he'd say anything we told him to. I think you're going to have a hell of a time disproving his credibility.
But I can try.
Well, you see, the judge now has allowed a video unit inside the courtroom, so this is a golden opportunity to get the issues before the people. And I'm a very persuasive person when it comes to...
Hold on, please, Mr. Ruxman. I'm sure that you're a very persuasive man, and I respect your right to believe in whatever it is you believe in. But we better get one thing straight. I'm here to provide you with a legal defense, not to wave the banner of whatever cause it is you happen to be promoting.
But I am my cause. You represent me. You represent it.
Well, then maybe you better get one of those pro bono attorneys who sympathizes.
No, I want a PD.
Why?
I don't want any privileges the average guy wouldn't get.
So what about the deal?
No. Not guilty. By reason of necessity.
All we enter is a plea of not guilty. We do not have to disclose the details of the defense at this time. Look, would you at least agree to wait and see what kind of a case I can come up with?
But we are going to trial. and I'm getting up there to testify.
It's against my advice.
I understand.
Gomez will take the plea. Jackson wants his trial. Not bad, huh, Marty? 1 for 2? Yeah, I'll look for the papers in the mail. Right. Ah, the exciting life of a public defender. One reporter's called me yet.
I've got a jailhouse lawyer who wants to martyr himself on my time.
What you've got is a highly motivated client. And what about those toxic pollutants he's been yelling about?
Streets First took the case against the incinerator plant all the way through federal court. Their claims have been rejected.
That doesn't make their claims wrong.
So what? It kills this necessity defense he's insisting on.
Sounds like you've convicted him already.
I don't convict people. Remember, I defend them. I just don't buy vigilantism as a defense.
Vigilantism is your word.
Well, what do you call it?
A not guilty plea.
Oh.
I found out some things about Roxman. I talked to his wife.
I thought you were going to Streets First headquarters.
I did. She runs it. They've been divorced 6 years.
And they work together?
Well, she says they're still friends.
Is that it? Jell-O?
Yeah.
My treat.
Thanks.
I can't imagine being in the same building as my ex. I was just working with him.
Yeah, me either. But I don't think this was a usual thing.
Thank you.
Thanks. She said their son died of leukemia.
It's terrible.
Yeah. I think that's what did them in. She said after that, Roxman went full-time into Streets First. He travels around, he gives talks, organizes groups to help protect the neighborhood against toxic pollution.
2 scientists testified that incinerator was safe.
She said Streets First had 2 other scientists testify that it would release cancer-causing ash into the air every day. Streets First claims the government chooses to believe those experts they want to believe.
That's the reason Roxman says he's not guilty.
The organization's behind him 100%. They even offered to put up his bail. But she said he refused.
A client who wants to stay in jail. It's the best. Roxman's a fanatic.
What did you expect?
A little cooperation. Instead, I'm getting the world according to Roxman.
Well, you know, sometimes a little fanaticism. I mean, in its finest sense. I'm talking about commitment of purpose, dedication, a relentless passion. Sometimes it's a good thing, Rosie.
Like Attila the Hun.
Like Galileo, Christopher Columbus, Jesus Christ. All considered fanatics in their time, no?
I guess.
You know, Rosie, you're a bit of a fanatic yourself.
Me?
Yes, you. Look at you. You give up a high-paying job to trudge down here and work beyond what most people, including your family, would call reasonable limits. And for who? For the disenfranchised, for the destitute, for the dregs, and all to defend a few constitutional rights that most people don't even know they have until they're read to them. Now, what would you call that?
Enlightened. Good night, Ben.
Good night, Rosie.
Saw you on TV.
Really? Case only started yesterday.
What can I say? It was on the news last night.
Sure getting the publicity he wants.
Who, your Robin Hood? So the newscaster called him.
Great. Listen, forget Roxman for a minute. What is this about Mother going to Tahiti? I mean, didn't she just go to Mexico at Thanksgiving?
That was a cruise to Puerto Vallarta. This is to Club Caribe.
Club Caribe? That's for singles.
Mom's single.
Well, I guess she's feeling lonely.
But she's always busy. She has a slew of friends. I just don't get it.
On the contrary, you get it all the time. Well, Mother and I, on the other hand, are suffering from that tragic gynecological disorder known as bridge out.
Do you know what kind of men go to Club Caribe?
Yeah, single men.
Single-minded men. Gigolos. They're out for only one thing.
Well, maybe Mother is too. But it's been 5 years, Dory.
Jeez, Rosie.
Doreen, I can't believe you're acting like such a prude.
I am hardly a prude, but this is our mother we're talking about.
Do you think she's been celibate all this time?
Don't you?
I hope not. Gigolos. You are so square. No, what?
No, this. Put an aluminum can in general garbage.
In general garbage? What's that, Colonel Coffee?
Very funny. We put aluminum refuse in can marked A. We put bottles in the can marked B and newspapers.
Don't tell me. Under N.
Wrong. Under P.
Or paper. When did this start?
As of today, I've started the Roxman recycling program. I've written a memo, and if Ben approves it, it's going to be distributed to all the county offices in honor of your client.
He is an eco-hero for the 90s.
An eco-hero? Yeah. Aren't you getting a little carried away?
None of the other clients around here do much for me, but Mark Roxman is someone I am proud to be associated with.
Well, I'm thrilled for both of you. Now, if you don't mind, I've got to think up a way to keep your hero out of the slammer.
So, are you ready for the big one?
Well, if you mean the earthquake, yes. If you mean the Roxman trial, no.
What's the problem?
She doesn't approve of him.
Oh, damn it, Hank. I've defended a lot of people that I wouldn't want to go camping with.
Yeah, but they were all either pathetic or disturbed. I mean, they were driven to break the law by something other than reason. This guy's gotten to you, Rosie, because he did what he did on principle.
Allegedly. Now who's convicting him?
Hey, come on, you two. What is this? Rosie, like I said, what's the problem?
Oh, I don't have any evidence, and I've got a client who actually believes the jury's going to buy the necessity of him sabotaging their plant, and I forgot to say my prayers last night.
When all the evidence comes in, there will be no doubt concerning Mr. Roxman's guilt. What he did, this so-called ecotage, is nothing more than a thinly veiled act of terrorism.
Do you believe the televising of Roxman's trial will work in his favor?
Well, the jury's not allowed to see or read any coverage of the case, so it should have no effect on the outcome.
Miss Grant, the defense
sorry, that's
says...
all for now.
Out of the way, please. Please report that the DA's plea offer was rejected by your client.
I'm sorry, that's privileged information.
Word is that you don't plan to call any witnesses in Roxman's defense. Any comment?
Defense strategy is not something I wish to discuss with the evening news.
Any surprise witnesses?
I'm sorry, I have a jury to pick.
Miss O'Neill! Miss O'Neill!
And in your opinion, Mr. Smith, are there situations where a man might be justified in breaking the law?
The way I see it, the law is the law. So if you break and get caught, you got to pay the price.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
I'd like to inquire on that point, Your Honor.
Yes, Miss O'Neill.
Mr. Smith, what did you think of the student demonstrations and sit-ins in the 60s?
I suppose they had a right.
Do you believe that witnesses are capable of making mistakes?
Well, if they swear what they're saying is true, then I've got to believe it.
Thank you.
The next peremptory challenge is with the defense.
The defense expresses its thanks and asks the court to excuse juror number 7, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Please return to the jury room. Well, since we're near the noon hour, this court will adjourn till 2 p.m.
You blew that one. That guy's about as good as we're gonna get.
Let me do my job, Mr. Roxman.
That was Fiona Rose O'Neill, public defense attorney for alleged environmental saboteur Mark Roxman. Now back to you.
Hey, Rosie, we just saw you on TV. You were great.
You could have been a little more forceful with your presentation.
And I'm still available for media consulting.
You did a good job, Rosie. You made the office proud.
You may be so proud of the result.
Hey, come on, hang in there, kiddo. You have to convince a jury, not yourself.
It's for you, Rosie.
Who is it?
Dr. Wyman.
Go for it, Rosie.
Excuse me. Jim? Hi. Oh, it's nice to hear from you. Nothing much. Just defending the masses, you know. Oh, well, I'd love to. I'm heading into a trial. Could we have dinner late tomorrow night? Oh, that'd be great. Okay, pick me up at my place around 9:30, okay? That's 418 Seaview Terrace. Okay. Good. I'll see you then. Yeah, I will. Bye. He said hi. We have to stop meeting like this.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna look for you after lunch anyway.
And here I am.
Here you are.
You take this for me?
Sure.
Thanks. Yummy. You want some?
Oh, no, I can't. This is a new diet.
Looks good.
Yeah, if you like airplane food.
You sure you don't want a bite?
Nah, my doctor'd kill me.
Well, I don't want to lose my best investigator.
Military records came back on Roxman.
Yeah?
Yeah, he was a chemical specialist in Vietnam. Agent Orange. Nasty stuff. I used to know some of those guys over there. Doctors of death, we called them.
I helped waste a good part of that country's vegetation. Polluted the water table for probably a couple of 100 years. Left the people with every physical ailment you can dream up.
Is that your motivation? This guilt you've been carrying around all these years? Look, the more I know, the better I can represent you to the fullest extent that the law allows.
Yeah, but you have a different concept of the law. This isn't defending some crack dealer or gangbanger. Then it's about working within the boundaries of the laws of the land. My case is about challenging them. It's a whole different ballgame.
That's why you're insisting on this necessity defense?
That's right.
I don't think it's gonna fly, Mr. Roxman.
Call me Mark, okay?
I don't think it's gonna fly, Mark.
What'll I call you?
Rosie.
Well, I don't care if it flies or not, Rosie.
Well, I do. And I'm gonna blow as many holes as I can in their accusations before I present our case.
Go ahead. But I'm still not gonna deny it when I get up there.
Why are you being so stubborn?
I'm not stubborn. I'm committed. There's a difference. Look, I may not have known what I was doing in Vietnam. But if I sat by now and just watched them poison people and destroy the environment, then I would be responsible.
The jury heard opening arguments this morning in the trial of controversial environmental activist Mark Roxman. Assistant District Attorney Deb Grant told the jury evidence would place Roxman at the toxic waste incinerator plant on the night it was sabotaged. In a brief rebuttal, Deputy Public Defender Fiona Rose O'Neill countered that the prosecution's case is based entirely on circumstantial evidence and will not withstand the jury's scrutiny. Back to you, Jim.
And what are your duties at the toxic incineration plant, Mr. Dewey?
I work as a security guard, 4 to midnight, Monday through Saturday.
Would you please tell the jury what happened last January 20th at approximately 11 p.m.?
I was on duty in the security hut, and I heard some loud noises coming from the main building. I looked over there, and I saw some of the lights were out, so I ran over to see what was going on.
What did you see?
Well, the main control room had been trashed. There are wires pulled out all over the place. Computers have been tipped on over the floor, and there were sparks flying everywhere. It looked like a tornado had gone through there. Nothing I could do about it, so I radioed in for help.
Now, did you observe anyone near the room?
Well, not right at first. Then I heard some noises outside. I ran out. I saw a man running away. I took off after him, but he was too fast.
And while he was Running away. What did you see?
He came under the street light, and I got a look at him.
Is the man you saw running away from the incineration plant present in this room today, Mr. Dewey?
Yes, ma'am. That's him.
Quiet. Quiet, please.
Let the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant, Mark Roxman.
So noted.
Now, prior to today, have you ever seen the defendant?
Lots of times. When those people came protesting against the plant, he was always out in front hollering this and...
Quiet. Quiet, or I will clear this courtroom.
Please continue, Mr. Dewey.
Hollering this and that and how he was murdering innocent children and all this other kind of nonsense like that.
Objection, non-responsive. Move to strike the answer.
Admission against interest, Your Honor.
Objection overruled.
I have nothing further. Thank you.
This man that you claim to be Mark Roxman, you say he was running away from you when he passed under the street light? Is that right, Mr. Dewey?
Yes, but like I said, I got to look at him.
As you were running at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, how did you see his face? You said he was running away from you.
Well, he was turned just enough so I could tell it was Roxman.
No, you assumed it was Mr. Roxman because you've seen him protesting on several occasions outside of the plant. Isn't that right, Mr. Dewey?
Objection.
Objection overruled.
It was him.
It was dark, and there was only one streak of light. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you and the man were running at the time.
Yes.
Well, then I'm very confused, Mr. Dewey. How can you be sure that it is Mr. Roxman when you have already stated that you never saw the man's entire face?
Well, it had to be him. Now, who else?
Objection. Asked and answered, Your Honor.
Who else would it be? Is that what you're going to say, Mr. Dewey? Doesn't really matter that you never saw his face, does it?
Objection.
I have nothing else for this gentleman. Jim, I am so sorry. I got hung up. I was preparing for tomorrow. I'm sorry.
I figured as much. I was just gonna go to a payphone just to make sure you were okay. I was worried about you.
Thank you. And I'm really very sorry.
Hey, it's already forgotten. Are you still hungry?
Always. It's my problem.
Sometimes it just means you need to eat. I know a great Chinese place not far from here.
I'll buy.
I'll let you. Oh, it's mine. I gotta go to the hospital.
It's all right, I understand.
Can I get a rain check on dinner?
Sure. How about tomorrow night, the same time?
Great.
All right.
Oh, I can't. I'm on call. Thursday night.
I can't. Friday.
Oh, I leave for a weekend conference.
Well, I'm sure that we'll figure it out at some point.
Soon, I hope. Look, I've got to go.
Okay. Night.
So beautiful.
Yeah. You know, I haven't had time to swim in that ocean since I moved here. Not that I would anyway, even if I had the time.
Remember when Marissa and David went swimming last summer and got that bacterial infection? All of the water south of Malibu has unsafe level of toxins at one point or another.
It's pretty awful.
Yep. Made me so mad I went to a couple of Save the Sea meetings.
You're kidding.
You? Don't act so surprised. There's more to this Hancock Park housefrau than meets the eye. Just felt like I had to do something. I mean, if it's this bad already, what kind of a world are we leaving for her?
Officer Roberts, what did you do with the tools that you found on the control room floor?
First, we traced them to the manufacturer who led us to the chain retailer. Their records reveal that Mr. Roxman purchased similar tools 2 months prior to the incident at an outlet in Torrance.
Did you investigate further?
We searched his house and found a set of screwdrivers and a set of wrenches in his toolbox.
Did you find anything unusual about those tools?
Those sets were each missing tools of exactly the same size as found at the incinerator plant.
Thank you, officer.
Those tools that you found at the plant did not contain my client's fingerprints, did they?
Nothing we could run a make on.
So you can't establish conclusively that they were his.
Well, not conclusively.
Did you know that 2,000 of those exact tool sets were sold in Los Angeles County alone the 2 months prior to the incident in question?
Objection. Assumes a fact not in evidence, Your Honor.
Overruled. No.
Thank you, officer. That's all.
Ms. Grant?
The people rest, Your Honor.
Quiet. You may step down. Thank you. This court will recess for 1.5 hours.
The DA's offer is still open.
And I'm still not interested.
You could get probation. You might not even have to serve a day.
No deal.
Well, we've shot some holes in their case. With even a little luck, the jury's not going to be able to get beyond the doubt we've created.
You created. But that doesn't change anything.
Well, it should. Mark, listen to me. All we have to do is shut up now. We have the advantage. The burden of proof is on them. I may have created enough reasonable doubt to get you off. Now, that's what you want, isn't it? You pleaded not guilty so you could be found not guilty.
But for the wrong reason.
Who cares what reason? At least you'd be free to do your work. What good will you be in jail?
What good was Mandela in jail? I still fully intend to testify.
As your attorney, I want to go on record as strongly advising you not to take the stand on your own behalf.
And as your client, I accept full responsibility for refusing your advice.
And what were your reasons for protesting against the incinerator plant?
Objection, Your Honor. This line of questioning is totally irrelevant to the charges.
Sustained.
Toxic wastes have to be disposed of somewhere. Is that right, Mr. Roxman?
Oh, they don't have to be incinerated near homes and schools, especially when there are safer alternative sites.
And that's why you chose the plant as the object of your demonstration.
Objection. The prosecution takes issue with the defense's attempt to link the charges to the legal concept of necessity.
Your Honor, my client feels that this is relevant to
Objection sustained.
I'm here to protest the wanton disregard of the public's health by our government.
Mr. Roxman.
The people have a right and a responsibility to act on their beliefs by whatever means.
Mr. Roxman. Counselor, instruct your client to restrain himself, or I will find you both in contempt of court.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Those are interesting claims, Mr. Roxman. Did you know that the plant safety was approved by a government study which was upheld by 2 federal courts?
Objection, Your Honor. Counsel is testifying and assuming facts not in evidence.
Overruled.
Did you know the government lies, Ms. Grant? Did you know that according to Citizens for a Better Environment, industrial polluters dump 24 million pounds of toxic pollutants into California's waters every year?
Move to strike.
Did you know our government doesn't even regulate this wanton degradation of our waters?
Mr. Roxman.
Did you know that toxic wastes dumped in our land have seeped into the water table,
Your Honor.
contaminating our food supply and polluting our drinking?
Mr. Roxman, that is enough. You are in contempt of court.
So that's why you took it upon yourself to sabotage the
Objection.
incineration plant.
Sustained.
Mr. Roxman, didn't you say at a public rally last July 4th, quote, "The good of the people is the chief law"?
No. Cicero said that in 44 BC.
Quiet. Quiet.
Yes. But you said, quote, "There comes a time when people can't rely on the government to protect them. A time when citizens have to protect themselves. Didn't you say that, Mr. Roxman?
When our water supply is being poisoned and breathing our air becomes lethal, then yes, I'd say it's time to protect ourselves. Yes, I certainly would.
And in your world, protecting yourself includes destroying public property, such as an incinerator plant, doesn't it?
Objection! Argumentative.
Sustained.
I have nothing else for this exemplary citizen.
I hope you're satisfied, Mark. Because you just gave the jury exactly what it needs to convict.
I said what I had to. That jury and anyone else who might be watching the 6 o'clock news had to hear the truth.
Are you aware of the position you put me in?
I forced you to get on board. Now you have no choice.
I never had a choice. Well, as far as I'm concerned, my closing arguments will still include discrediting the prosecution's case. They are out to prove that you did it. They do not give a damn why.
But the jury might, and the public sure as hell should.
You know, Mark, all of my clients have reasons why they did what they did. They were strung out. It was self-defense. You name it.
You're lumping trying to save the Earth in with a bunch of social misfits?
There are those who would call you a misfit. Who's to decide?
I'll tell you who's to decide, Rosie. Individual conscience. There's right and wrong in this world. And the consequences reach way beyond the legal system as it exists.
I still find it incredibly difficult to try and justify breaking the law. It goes against everything I've been told.
Look. My son was killed by their poison. He got leukemia because of my exposure to Agent Orange.
You can't know that.
You mean, can I prove it? Absolutely, 100% no. But I can tell you that he contracted a deadly adult form rarely seen in children, but which has occurred in the kids of Vietnam veterans at an alarmingly higher rate than the general population. Is that good enough for you?
Is that why you trashed the plan?
It's not a personal vendetta.
Isn't it?
No. That's what I've been trying to get through to you. It was just a spark that lit the fire. Rosie, anyone who becomes deeply involved in a cause has to have that something that pushes them to the edge, that makes them not able to sit by quietly any longer. For some people, it's just shoving the issue right up close in front of their face where they can't help but see it. That's what I do.
Good morning.
Yeah. What's good about it?
Oh, nothing special. Just happy to be alive.
Yeah. Hank,
Yes?
never mind.
You got your closing worked out?
I couldn't control him.
It's his life, Rosie.
Well, then maybe he should just represent himself.
And the point is, you're representing him. You're gonna have to figure out a way to justify what he did. Make it into a political statement, an expression of free speech.
Well, if free speech doesn't include yelling fire in a crowded theater, it certainly doesn't include destroying that incinerator.
The bottom line is, Rosie, after he self-destructed up there, you think there's one juror who'll give a damn about the angle at which the guards saw Roxman?
One juror's all I need. Maybe I can get a hung jury.
Good luck.
Rosie, I've been thinking about your Roxman case.
Don't tell me. You're about to give me a few sage words of advice.
I spent the night rummaging through some old boxes and looking for my notes from a political theory class I took at Harvard, The History and Justification of Civil Disobedience. Now, I found some very interesting tidbits I think you could use.
Udell, this isn't civil disobedience. It's more like guerrilla warfare.
Fine line between the two.
Well, I can't get up there and say that Roxman was justified in crossing it.
You know, sometimes the only way to change a bad law is to break it.
Udell, you're talking anarchy.
No, he's not. He's talking necessity.
Precisely. Historical necessity. From the Boston Tea Party to
Rosa Parks sitting in the front of that bus.
I suppose you're going to lecture me on Raoul Wallenberg.
No, I just wanted to know if somebody wanted to try some of Harriet's homemade Danish.
Freedom's the most precious thing all of us have. Why are you giving it up so easily?
It's a small price to pay. I didn't break the law expecting to get away with it forever, Rosie. I did it to force people to change the law, eventually. I may not even be around to see it happen, but I can know I was a part of it.
Well, I want you to know I admire your commitment.
One of the great advantages of living in a democratic society is that it affords each of us a way to change what we don't like. We take our complaints to the ballot box. We petition our government. We have a right to be heard. What we don't have is the right to break the law simply because we happen to disagree. And once we allow that, we begin to lose our freedom to peacefully change the way we're governed. We lose what makes this country so great. You heard John Dewey place the defendant at the plant both before and after its destruction. You also heard Officer Roberts trace the tools used in the crime almost directly to Mr. Roxman's doorstep. But most importantly, you heard Mr. Roxman himself try desperately to justify his act of naked terrorism. But such actions can never be justified. For if they could, this would become a country not of laws, but of lawlessness. A country where might makes right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in deciding Mark Roxman's fate, I want you to ask yourself, is that a country in which you would want to live?
I believe in the law. I've devoted my life to it. But sometimes the law lags behind reality. We are drowning in our own waste. We can't swim in our oceans. We can't breathe our air. And pretty soon we're going to lose the protection from the sun's most destructive rays. That is, if we can stand the heat from global warming long enough to be outdoors. I know that it's hard to believe, but we let this happen. this rape of our Mother Earth. Our laws allowed this to happen. Allowed this sinful abuse of our most precious asset. Now I ask you, when the laws we enact allow us to destroy ourselves, what meaning is there in obeying them? What freedoms are we protecting here? The founding fathers of this country thought it intolerable that their fates would be decided by an unresponsive British government. The American Revolution was nothing more nor less than a collective act of civil disobedience, born of the simple belief that there are times when laws must be broken in order to effect change for the better. We live in such a time. The sabotage of that toxic waste incinerator was a desperate act, but it was in response to a desperate problem. Now, to sit by and with life-threatening toxins pouring into our already deadly air would be an even bigger crime than trying to put a stop to it. There comes a time when it becomes a matter of individual conscience. There are rights and there are wrongs in the world. And the consequences reach beyond the legal system as it exists now. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at a crossroads. Either we stand up now and act to save ourselves, or we hang our heads in shame when our children ask us why the world we have left to them is nearing extinction. Today, you have a choice. You can send a message to the polluters, a message to our lawmakers, a message to the world. I pray that you have the courage to do so.